Hello and welcome to Bookworms. It's the show where we read books, talk about books. I'm your host, Alex.
And I'm Joe.
How are you, Joe?
I'm doing swell, Alex. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well.
Well, that's just grand.
Yes, it's spectacular.
So I want to welcome you to my humble abode again.
Yes, we are at Casa de Joe.
Yeah. And we are reading one of my books this month.
Yes, it's also technically one of my books because I first recommended it to you.
Yeah, it's still mine because I picked it. So you don't get to get halvesies on this son of a bitch.
I don't know. I think I still get credit for it.
And I mean, when did you recommend this to me? Like 10 years ago?
Something like that. I read it in college. I'm like, Joe, you're gonna love this book. And then you read it, and you're like, I hated it.
Yeah, but it's one of those books that stuck with me. And for the longest time, it stuck with me, but I didn't remember who wrote it. And I remember one day I was describing it to you, Alex, and you're like, yeah, The Wanting Seed. Yeah, the one, I'm like, let me finish my description of it, damn it.
Yeah.
So we are reading The Wanting Seed by Anthony Burgess. This is our first repeat author, Alex.
Yes, last season, it was like our third book. Went with Clockwork Orange.
If you had to predict who our first repeat author was, would you have predicted this guy?
I would have predicted probably like Terry Pratchett. I feel like he would have gone for Terry Pratchett.
Yeah, or Neil Gaiman, even though he's kind of a sore subject at the moment, so maybe that kind of took him out of the running for a hot minute.
Yeah. We'll see if we ever get back to Gaiman. But it's a hot topic right now.
Yeah, we cover enough controversial authors that we don't need one that's currently in the middle of the embroilment.
Yeah, our best listened to episode is one where we talk about Sherman Alexie. So talk about scandal, but
yeah, so I think there's another one that we had that had a pretty good scandal, wasn't there?
I believe so.
Yeah, basically white male author, so yeah, it's just gonna happen eventually.
Sherman Alexie's a Native American, but okay.
Anyway, so yeah, this month we did The Wanting Seed, and yeah, it's one of those books that I didn't particularly love, but it stuck with me. It's one of those whatchamacallits, dystopian futures that were so popular in the early 20th century. We had 1984. What's the other?
Anthem.
Brave
New World.
Brave New World is the one I was thinking. But yeah, so a whole bunch of them, and this one came out in the mid 60s.
Yeah, late 60s, I believe.
60s?
It was his follow-up to Clockwork Orange, if I remember his bibliography correctly.
Yeah, so fun fact about this book, I was reading a little bit up on it, and it was written in 62, Alex.
62.
Yes. First American edition in 63. So yeah, so it's early 60s. But anyways, this book reads kind of like it's not his best work, and that's because it isn't. Anthony Burgess, the year before he wrote this book, was given a false diagnosis for cancer. So he was told he had 1 year to live. So to be able to finish writing everything he could, he pumped out 5 novels in 1 year. And I don't know about you, Alex, but have you ever tried writing 5 novels in a year?
It takes me like 5 years to write one novel, so no.
And so listen to a bunch of Terry Pratchett interviews. He was talking about his writing process when he went to a full-time writer, and he wanted to make sure that he didn't slack off because he's a workaholic or was a workaholic, and wanted to say, hey, I'm going to make sure I put out a book every year. Realized he could do that, no problem. So he started putting out 2 books a year. And then he said, yeah, I'll try 3. And he did that for a few years, 3 books a year, before he realized, you know what, quality's going down. We need to back off to 2. I can do 2 and have much better quality. So the fact that Terry Pratchett, who was able to such a prolific writer there, couldn't do it, says a lot about this. But yeah, so this book was kind of rushed out to publication. It probably could have used a few more drafts, but yeah, Alex, if you were told you only have 1 year to live, would you try to write 5 novels rapid fire?
I'd probably just try and get one out, like a magnum opus kind of deal.
Yeah, instead of just 5 mids.
Well, one of them was Clockwork Orange, right?
Yeah, but he thought that was mid.
Very true, yeah. See, he famously doesn't like that book, or he at least resents it. I think he was reading his stuff. He's a very talented guy, and he was able to do really interesting work and pump it out fairly quickly. If you notice his books are usually novella length, fairly short. He's got a couple longer ones, but the quality of his work has always been not quite upper echelon, but still very readable. He was my favorite author for a period of time, but he's since fallen down a bit.
Oh, what do you do to do that, Alex?
I just keep reading and I read more stuff.
Oh, who's your favorite author now for the moment?
Oh, that's hard to say, really. It's I don't know, it changes a lot. I think. Well, I'm doing my my next pick, my last pick of the season, and I'm really enjoying rereading his book. So it's probably that author.
That author, okay.
Yeah.
So someone that's been dead for a couple of days, anyways.
Yes.
So not putting out anything new anytime soon.
He wrote one novel.
Okay. So, anyways,
stay tuned for who that author is.
You're gonna have to wait till the very end of this episode. Sorry, not sorry. So the back of this book, The Wanting Seed. The Wanting Seed is a Malthusian comedy about the strange world that overpopulation will produce. Tristram Fox and his wife Beatrice Joanna live in their skyscraper world of spacelessness where official family limitation glorifies homosexuality. It's sapience to be homo. This time of the near future is eventually transformed into a chaos of cannibalistic dining clubs, fantastic fertility rituals, and wars without enemies. The Wanting Seed is a novel both extravagantly funny and grimly serious.
Yeah, so they don't give you much, do they?
Yeah, it's just the whole novel.
Yeah. Yeah, so it is played out kind of like a farce, almost. Everything's just kind of built up to ridiculous proportions. Sometimes when you write dystopian, it feels like weirdly possible. Like, that's always a big thing that they write about well-reviewed dystopian books. Like, it's entirely plausible. Like, you read that when you, hear about The Handmaid's Tale. They're like, this totally could happen. Or even 1984, that just kind of style of storytelling. Where
it did happen.
And yeah. Does anyone ever talk about how good is?
No, I don't. I've heard a few things about it. I know you're the one that kind of recommended it to me, and I read it, and I was like, okay, I get what they're doing, and it was definitely a good precursor to 1984. 1984 comes off as a little bit more polished, but the thing with is it's Russian, so it's has that grittier feel to it,
Yeah, I read 1984 and Anthem before I read and then I read I'm like, wow, those two books ripped this book off, because it's
pretty much yeah.
It definitely it's one of the original came out in the 20s or something like that. So it's
I think it beat out all the dystopians that we recognize now by a good 15 years, I think, almost.
Yeah, and it's really good. Maybe we gotta do a special on
Well, season 3 is coming, Alex.
Yeah, maybe. I was thinking about changing up one of my books.
Oh, jeez. I've already bought most of them.
Okay. Never mind.
We'll talk later.
Yeah, okay. Oh, this will be a behind-the-scenes combo.
So anyways, but yeah. So let's get into it, Alex.
All right. So, The Wanting Seed, set in a not-too-distant future kind of deal. The big issue that's kind of destroying the world is overpopulation.
And this is something that was really big in the 60s. Like I said, this came out in 62, 63. But I forget what the book was called that came out right around the same time. It was like the population bubble or something like that. That was going on about how we're going to overpopulate the world and have a mass die-off of people because we can't feed them and all that stuff. And it basically ran the conservation movement for a good 30 to 40 years before they realized, oh, we're not going to overpopulate. Now that we're seeing a trend of actually depopulation, and they're getting more worried because we got too many old people and not enough young people to support the old people. So, but that's what this book is being kind of based off of. It, as a premise is, world's hit a max population, and they're having to do essentially the China option that China went through with the one child.
Did this book happen during the one child rule, or is it before?
Before.
Okay.
China ripped this book off.
That's what it is. Okay. Yeah, because there is the book opens up actually with Beatrice Joanna at a
BJ.
Yeah. I see what you did there, Anthony. Now I gotta lead into her having a dead kid. Great. So she's at the doctor's, and her child has just died. And
Yeah, laugh about that, you horrible human being.
how dare you? How dare you laugh at this? But she
And
like
nobody cares but her. Like even her husband doesn't seem to really like. It doesn't. No one seems to care about this kid. And
yeah, they're talking about how the child is now a contribution to like the carbon.
the nitrogen. So
Yeah,
basically,
nitrogen.
basically, anytime someone dies, they're running her back down to nitrogen so they can be put back into the soil to basically farm.
And the family gets paid for the amount of nitrogen that the body provides.
Yep. And they get a little bit of bonus for the kid because they didn't consume a lot of nitrogen to get that nitrogen.
Exactly. I mean, it's still like a pittance, so.
Yeah, and then you have to go, and basically you're told you can't have any more kids, otherwise you're breaking the law.
Yeah, you get one kid. If the kid dies, then like tough luck. You can't have more.
So Beatrice Joanna is just devastated. She's wandering the town. She decides she's gonna. Is that when she decides she's gonna meet up with Derek?
Yeah. So we meet. She has been having just an ongoing affair with the main character, Tristram's brother Derek, who is trying to move his way up in society by pretending to be gay. So this is the 1960s when being a homosexual was
Illegal in England.
illegal in England. So Anthony Burgess is kind of playing fast and loose with that by saying, due to overpopulation, homosexuality is now actually encouraged. That's where the it's sapiens to be homo, because sapiens means same and homo means different. Or no, homo means same and sapiens means different. So it's he's just playing around with that whole thing. But yeah, so if you're gay, have no kids, you're not
Came from a small family.
Yeah, you're no longer contributing to society.
The overpopulation problem, and you're able to move higher up into the ranks of society.
Yeah, you're considered now this high-valued person who's lifted up by the rest of society. So Derek is basically lying his way to the top. He's actually straight, comes from a large family, but he's been posing as gay, and he's kept his family a secret for most of his public life. And he's actually having an affair with Beatrice Joanna behind Tristan's back.
And yeah, and so she goes and visits him at his work, and he's freaking out because like, what the hell are you doing? You can't be here. I could lose my job. Then we jump over to, and he basically says, I'll meet you at your place later. So
yeah,
BJ's like, all right, great, I'll see you later. And then we jump to Tristram.
Yep, Tristram is a history professor
for an all-boys school.
Yes, and he's very, I guess, you picture the old-timey stand there and lecture you professor in front of the chalkboard.
And he's very enthusiastic about his subject, but cannot convey that enthusiasm to his kids.
Yeah, he's the guy who knows a lot about a subject, but you ask him to teach it, and he just can't do it. That's him. But he's basically in line for a promotion, and he gets passed over for it because he's from a large family.
And he's married. Had a kid, and he's married.
Had a kid, yeah. So they pass him over, so he's kind of losing it.
Yeah, he's very bitter and pissed off, and you get a real tension of the people that are gay really hate the straight people, and then the people that are straight really hate the gay people, and there's just this tension that's always riding because it's just almost is like the haves and have-nots that they see each other, and it's like, and they just both sides are like, how dare you.
It's almost like a different form of class warfare.
Yeah.
But also they due to like the quality of life being so like plummeting so low, they've like done away with religion. They now refer to God as dog.
Yeah, it's basically just reversing the letters there to kind of
mock it.
Yeah.
And like priests are like defrocked and ridiculed, kind of like they were in White Plague.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. And then they made alcohol illegal, but everyone's still drinking. Basically, it's prohibition.
Yeah, essentially.
And there's this whole, again, Tristram is a history teacher, and he teaches his favorite thing to teach about is the cycles of history. How you go from one form of government to a interim form of government to this other kind of government, and then it starts over again. And he gets in a little bit of trouble because he's not supposed to be teaching that because they're in what they call the liberal what we consider the liberal society, where basically there's laws, but they're so lax that nobody enforces them, and it's just kind of a frowned upon thing, and you got to be careful. But he notices that there's a bunch of recruiters for police, and they're rounding up all the homeless people. Oh, is this really a distant future, Alex?
Yeah, it's weird how that happens a lot. You wouldn't think so. But yeah, the cops are it's almost like a militarized police situation where they're just
militarized police, Alex.
It basically is the military at this point. Yeah, it's like people always talk about like this one seems ridiculous, but it's actually there's a lot of parallels to what happens in a modern society. I think it's actually very introspective of the times and a very good response to it. That's definitely one of the book's qualities, is he's able to take modern events and kind of almost like shine a light to it. And now even like modern events 60 years later, it's like, oh wow, I found a parallel there.
Yeah. You okay there, Alex? You don't want to clicking on the computer?
Oh yeah, I'm just freeing up some space.
But yeah, so we these chapters jump between Tristram and Beatrice Joanna, and we jump back to Beatrice Joanna and Derek, and they basically bump uglies in in her tiny apartment. It basically is like a 2-room kind of thing, a 2.5 room kind of thing, and to get the couch to come out, you have to fold it out of the wall. To get the bed, you have to fold it out of the wall. The kitchen comes out of the wall. Basically the size of a bedroom.
And basically picture like when you like see videos of like apartments in Hong Kong where everything's like hideaway to help save space and things like that. That's basically what it is, just because the population's so big you can't have a big place.
Yeah, and basically they were given a slightly larger place because of the baby, so yeah, I think they had an extra bedroom maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, anyways, so and if you're higher in society, you get the bigger place, and that's what Tristram was really hoping for. That basically everybody has to kind of work in shifts because otherwise there's not enough space, and there's a whole thing about how people have to share homes in shifts. If you're really low down on the totem pole, so there's that kind of worry from people like Tristram that I got to move up in society if I basically want a place to live, and if I start falling stagnant, I might lose my place, and all that sort of fun stuff.
Yeah, Tristram definitely starts with being very much, I guess, opposed to, or he plays into the societal expectations, and he tries to work real hard within those limits, but it kind of screws him in the end, and he goes ballistic, whereas Beatrice Joanna is kind of always been disillusioned with it, especially after losing her kid.
And so they're about to have an affair, and she realizes that she forgot to take her birth control.
Yeah, basically all men and all women are on like special tablets so that they can't get pregnant.
Yeah, and Derek doesn't have any protection, and because he's going as homosexual, he doesn't have to take the tablet, so he doesn't take a tablet. And she says, you know what, I'm horny enough, who cares, let's just do it and suffer the consequences.
Yeah, she just she doesn't really tell Derek, she just kind of lets it ride.
Yeah.
And then later on, Tristram, he's upset because he got passed over the promotion, and
Beatrice gets drunk.
Beatrice Joanna's kind of all of a sudden freaking out because she's worried she might be pregnant, and so
because you can always tell that first time right after.
Exactly. So she, just to make sure that there's no scandal, she makes sure to have sex with Tristram too,
even though he's popping the tablets as they are about to get it on. And Beatrice Joanna is struggling with basically a bored housewife life, where she realizes that being married to Tristram, she has a stable life, but there's no excitement into it. But that she also, with Derek, as much excitement as there is, she doesn't really. She at first she says, "I love him." I basically there's like new relationship energy where everything's golden, everything feels amazing, and you can't stop thinking about the person. Where Tristram is old relationship energy, where it's like, yeah, we care for each other, but there's the passion is gone, and she's really struggling with that and not knowing how to deal with that sort of thing.
Oh yeah, I know.
So,
yeah. And like time goes on, we find out that Derek is actually being investigated by like the population police for being a fake homosexual. They're trying to
Derek
out him.
is one of the heads of the population department.
Yeah, there's like some internal affairs are trying to.
This one
get 'em.
captain is really pushing to get him, so the captain can kind of steal the position.
Yeah, and I forgot the guy's name, but he had like this weird verbal tick where he always said "DSE," kind of like the old '60s gangster that you see.
I
Like,
don't think I wrote it
DSE.
down.
But yeah, he that guy. After doing some digging, he does find out about the affair, and he breaks it to Tristram.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the militarization of the police forces and the crackdowns is starting to really pick up, and Tristram is, he's actually excited by the whole thing because he's like, I'm watching history unfold. I'm alive for the next the interphase, the in between phase between the very liberal society versus the very conservative society, and he's all really excited that he's able to watch it happening. Yeah. Alex, is it fun watching it happening now?
Ah, boy, it's something else. But yeah, he I don't know, he goes ballistic. He's goes just completely off his rocker. Beatrice
he gets totally smashed. He is blitzkrieg drunk. He confronts Beatrice Joanna in the streets during a rally.
Yeah, and he's just like screaming at her. People are watching. If this was the modern era, they'd all have phones out, But Beatrice Joanna eventually, obviously she's kicked out, so she can't really hide her pregnancy anymore, so she has to go and live with her sister and try and hide.
She can still hide it, but she knows she's about to not be able to, so she's like, I had to get out of here because I can't, she's like, I will get taken away and thrown in prison if I have a kid.
Yeah, and just so you guys listeners know, this book covers it's only like less than 300 pages, but it covers about 2 years of time.
Yeah, about maybe a little bit more. It does jump quite a bit in the middle there.
Yeah, because Tristram, he's at that rally and it gets broken up, and a lot of people get arrested, and he gets kind of sucked into it.
Yeah,
pulled in.
Basically, he gets pulled into the rally. The police come in, start beating people and arresting people, and he winds up in jail, and nobody believes that he is not part of the rally.
Yeah, so he's just stuck in a prison. There's no due process or trials. He just sits in a cell.
So here's a question I had for you, Alex. I was very confused. Why were teeth such a big deal? All the characters pulled their teeth and wore plastic dentures.
That's a really good question.
I did not get it at all. And it's like it would be a really big deal if a character had their original adult teeth.
Yeah, does it have something to do with the nitrogen thing is? Oh, we don't need those.
It doesn't make any sense. I don't. Because your teeth are calcium, so they're essentially bone. So you're not getting a lot of nitrogen out of them. It just, I don't. Yeah, I mean, I get you're not really eating a lot of solid foods, but then why do you need the dentures?
Yeah, I mean, I guess having teeth is important for your face structure and whatnot, but it's a weird detail. I wish we'd done some more research into it.
Yeah, so I just wasn't sure if you knew about it, but it was very odd to me. And when he's in prison, he ends up losing his dentures, or they get broken or whatever. And
yeah, he has a really bad time in jail.
Yeah, basically because he's gone crazy, and he is ranting and raving and being fairly rude, and the jailers are like, you know what, screw you, we're gonna make your life miserable.
Yeah, they make him miserable. He's paired up with a couple of people while he's in jail.
One of them is the preacher that he had seen
there's
earlier in the book.
A defrocked preacher. Eventually he meets a larger gentleman, though, because the preacher, I believe, gets out, or he gets moved.
Yeah, he gets out. Because that's the next stage is religion is coming back, so they're like, oh, we need all of our all the preachers and priests that were in hiding, we're bringing them back out again.
Yeah, about halfway through the book, God gets reintroduced. And there's more prevalence of religious figures. But then he's paired off with a guy. I remember this guy's name was Charlie Linklater.
Yeah,
he gets a name even though he appears in one chapter.
And he's kind of your typical, what us Americans anyways would think of as the big black guy in jail.
Yeah, he's a bit of he's described as, I think, a Nigerian or something like that. Just a large black stereotype of a guy. And he's in there for cannibalism.
Yeah. So another thing with this book, there's a lot of focus on people's races. Gender and races, but especially the races. It was a very odd thing. I mean, I get it. It's England in the 60s, so that's kind of a hot topic button back then. But it just... the amount of detail into everyone that's introduced, what race they are, people in the streets, what race they are, was just...
Yeah, we kind of saw that when we read Norman Mailer too. Just like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a very big point of pointing out race.
So
Like, I know the civil rights movement was happening at the time. Maybe it has something to do with that. It's hard to say though.
Yeah. It was very. It stood out really bad. Let's hop back to Beatrice Joanna because we're kind of skipping over her, and she does have an important part to play here.
Yeah, because she has her kids. Yay.
Kids, plural.
Yes,
They're twins.
Kids. Twins.
And she names them Derek and Tristram.
It's unclear who the father is. She starts off believing they're Derek's, though.
I think she names them both because she's kind of hinting, oh, one's from one father, one's from the other.
Yeah, something along those lines.
Even though it's probably both Derek's because he wasn't on birth control and Tristram was.
Yeah, and then Derek, he's maintaining his public image, and so like she'll like write him little letters saying like put this into your speech, like put these words into their speech so I know you're thinking of me. And he's kind of just like he really doesn't give a shit. He's kind of he's a shitty guy.
Yeah.
And so he's like, yeah, I'll do that, and like he's kind of written like that was easy enough for him to pretend to care. So like he's just focused on his social status.
Yeah.
However,
meanwhile, BJ is really wearing out her welcome in her sister's house, even though her brother-in-law is loving it because he's highly religious, even though it's illegal when she first shows up. But he's also a farmer of sorts, so he's able to help her birth the children because that's all in secret. They can't let anyone know. She has to hide whenever someone else comes to the house. You remember the brother-in-law's name?
it's like Shoni or something like that.
Shemi. Yeah, Shemi. Shemi and his wife have 2 kids, 2 boys who are early teens, I think, or is it a boy and a girl? I forget.
Oh gosh,
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Anyway,
The kids don't really factor too heavily into it.
They kind of do, but just because they end up dying off screen.
Yeah.
And it brings Shemi in for a later confrontation.
Yeah, Shemi's a tragic figure. So like his wife is very paranoid about having the illegal kids in her home, whereas he's more supportive of it due to his religious beliefs. And there's kind of a shake-up where he loses everything and he loses his faith.
Yeah, he gets the Job test and fails.
Essentially, yeah.
But anyway, so Beatrice Joanna is trying to figure out what she can do because she realizes she can't stay there once the kids are born, but she's got nowhere to go because Tristram has completely disappeared. Nobody knows what happened to him. No, he isn't writing, and she thinks he might have been killed in one of the violent roundups because the world is getting very violent and gangs are starting to roam the streets. Cops are starting to disappear, and meat is suddenly showing up in random places. Then people are like, "Where's all this meat coming from?" Wink, wink, nod, nod. You know what I mean?
Yeah. This brand new product, Soylent Green. But yeah, that's bringing back to Tristram, though. That's Charlie Linklater's in prison for cannibalism, and he ate an entire person, and he just kind of looks at Tristram and is like, I'm going to get you out of here. And then
yeah, he's just like, I like you. I don't know why, but I kind of like you. And I think you need to get out of here. You are clearly mistreated by these prison guards.
Yep, so they set up the old fake illness in a prisoner scenario, so the guard comes rushing in, and he's still healthy from his time on the outside, so he just bonks him on the head, and they escape.
Tristram escapes. The Nigerian decides he's going to stick around. He needs a break. He needed the streets were getting a little too heavy for him. He needed to cool his heels for a little bit.
Yeah, and then Tristram kind of gets his King Lear moment where he just kind of wanders around and watches society crumble around him.
Yeah, he's walking around. He decides he's gonna go find his estranged wife, and he's going to go to his sister's house. But it's
he correctly guesses that she's at her sister's.
Yeah, but the trains are all down. There's roads are basically crumbling. Because I said, like Alex says, it's been a couple years now that he's been in jail, and it looks like your post-apocalyptic movie now where everything's just garbage, and there's a bunch of homeless people standing around barrels with fires roasting human flesh.
Exactly. And in the meantime, the cop who's been trying to take down Derek, he finds Beatrice Joanna at her sister's house, and we think like, oh, this will be the end for for BJ and Co. And then he actually kind of twists it around. He's like, no, I'm going to use you to out Derek because he's my primary target. So like detains her, but like they're gonna get away with it.
Yes, basically he's going to use her as the cannon fodder, but he needs the children to show paternity. So he's going to keep them all safe, even though technically he should be taking the kids away and sending them to the nitrogen farm.
Yeah, and then but it does kind of backfire though, because he outs Derek, but then like Derek is able to spin it.
Well, no, so it backfires first because they're in one of the only cars. They're driving through a city, and because him and his partner are cops, and the one cop he's with is sounds like he's fairly overweight. They get in a fight. The one cop gets rendered down to food, and they strip the captain naked and say, "Consider yourself lucky because you're with this woman with children, and we want and because of religion, it's a Catholic or Christian-esque religion." They want the children, so it's like you're here to protect the mother and the children because we need more children, and that's a holy thing.
Yeah, it's more Anthony Burgess humor. You got to watch out for those roving bands of Catholics.
Cannibalistic Catholics.
Exactly. Body of Christ.
Yep. And so so like Alex said, Captain gets BJ to confront Derek, and it backfires because Derek is a slimy son of a bitch and is able to wheedle his way out of getting in trouble and gets the captain in further trouble for old views.
Yeah. He rebrands it. It's kind of almost like Animal Farm, where like the
very propaganda.
Yeah, like the the pigs take the sheep into the woods, and then the sheep come out. Instead of saying 2 legs bad, 4 legs good, they say 4 legs good, 2 legs better, and the pigs are walking on their hind legs at that point. And it's so he basically pulls one of those where he just propagandizes everything, and he
is kind of the head of the propaganda department now. So
exactly.
it helps that he's just that big of a character. But yeah, so Tristram is still trying to wander over to his sister-in-law's house, and he's having a bit of an odyssey watching people eating other people, but wherever he goes, he's welcomed into the communities. He even gets laid at one point.
That's true, yeah.
And
hippy-dippy communities take him in.
Yeah, and feed him dead police officers.
Yep. Yeah, they feed him meat, sex him up real good, and send him on his way.
Yeah, and there's and it just kind of becomes this thing, and it kind of drags here a little bit for such a short novel, where it's just like, okay, something's having read it before, it's like, when are we gonna get to the good part here?
Yeah, you have to kind of pad out the meeting Shemi after he loses everything, and then going into the army. But so you meet Shemi, who's in a bar they're in a church listening to a sermon, and Shemi starts ranting and raving, saying how it's a false god and all that, saying it's a false religion. They've fallen to the devil's they succumb to the devil's wills, and basically he gets thrown out of the church, and he goes to the bar, starts drinking heavily. Tristram follows him, says, "Hey, where's my wife?" That's where Tristram finds out his wife had twins, but she got taken away by the police, and he doesn't know anything. And to hell with Tristram anyways, because how can he be so lucky having 2 beautiful kids and a wife he doesn't appreciate? And we find out that Shemi lost his children to disease, and they both died. And his wife is leaving him because she's sick of his religious zealotry and all that stuff, and he's spiraling. Yeah, he's in a bad way. Tristram's like, "Hey, can I have some money to to get back home?" And he's like, "Get the fuck out of my face."
Yeah, both of them were in the wrong there, but they both thought they were quite in the right.
Yeah. He's like, "Please, we're family." "No, we're not. Get out of here." But yeah,
and we do know that Shemi and Tristram never got along anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Tristram is trying to get back home, and he stumbles into a food pantry, food bank kind of thing, or a soup kitchen, I guess. And he's getting some food, and these guys are walking around saying, "Hey, sign right here." Talking to people. I was like, and fill out this survey and sign right here. And Tristram just signs without reading, and And they say, everyone that signed this form, please come this way. We're going to give you something extra. They walk in and we find out they just got recruited into the Army.
Yeah, they're offering out loans, and yeah, they signed paperwork that conscripted them into service.
Yeah, so what they signed was a signing bonus, and they're all getting something different. Basically, it was like whatever we think is the minimum we have to pay you to get you to sign this thing, we'll do it. So people are getting pissed with each other because like Tristram ended up getting a hefty sum of money that I don't think he ever actually saw. Yeah, and someone's had signed for like 1/10 of what Tristram was supposed to get.
A couple of bucks.
Yeah, and they're like, hey, what the hell? And they're like, hey, you signed. It's too late. Sucks to be you, bub. And Tristram ends up going to boot camp.
Yep, and he actually does pretty well in the Army. He works his way up to sergeant.
Yeah, pretty quickly.
Yeah, but they're also like talking about like, oh, there's this mysterious enemy. They just keep calling him the enemy. They're at war with an enemy that they won't describe, and he becomes a sergeant, but they're also promoting people rather quickly due to like people dying so fast in the Army.
But they got him as a teacher because a lot of these people don't know how to write or read, and they're like, well, to be in the Army, you have to know how to write or read. So because when you get orders, you need to know what to do. So he ends up becoming a teacher essentially, and he's avoiding the mysterious conflict for like 6 months, I believe.
Yeah, he's in the Army for quite a bit.
Yeah, and he actually this might be like over like a 5-year period because the whole book, because I think this was several years that he was kind of just poking along.
No, because Derek was talking to Beatrice Joanna, saying that they'll be able to get married after 2 years due to the spousal abandonment laws.
Oh, okay, yeah. But yeah, it was like 6 months anyways. So it was, but he starts pissing off the upper brass by saying,
he starts asking questions like, who is the enemy?
Yeah.
And they're like, we'll have you court-martialed for that.
And he's like, go for it. I don't care. I didn't want to be here anyways. They're like, okay, fine. We're going to put you on the front.
Yeah, they sent him to the trenches.
So he goes to an active combat unit that's about to get shipped out. Realizes they don't even know how to assemble a rifle and put the bullet into it, let alone shoot the rifle. So he is quite clever. And, when he's told, if you're so smart, why don't you show this? And he goes to his corporal and says, hey, you're so smart. Why don't you do this? I'm delegating to you. Corporal's like, okay, fine, whatever. You're the sarge. And he starts asking questions again and getting his new command structure really pissed off at him. His captain and his major and his colonel.
Because all the combat sounds and flashing lights sound like they're being played off a gramophone, and he's like, no, they're playing music off a gramophone. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah. So they put him on a ship. They sit in the dark. Don't let anyone know where they go. Get them off the ship in the dark.
Also,
under
pause
canvas
for the listeners real quick. The plot twist is going to be ridiculous. Just play.
Under canvas in a vehicle, they drive to a base where they march to a trench, and they're told you're going to charge over this trench when the order comes
and kill whatever's on the other side.
And at this point, Tristram has a couple of friends, and they're like, there's something fishy going on here. And Tristram's like, we got to get out of here. I got a bad feeling about this. And the one guy's like, we just got to go through it. We got to get to the other side. Once we get to the other side, we'll be fine. And so Tristram's like, he's on the edge of getting court-martialed and shot on the spot by his captain and his major. But finally, the order comes that we're going to charge over this trench, and Tristram's like, I guess we just got to see this through. And they charge. And Tristram basically doesn't get up immediately, sees the carnage. It looks like a World War I charge out of the trench.
It's straight-up trench warfare.
Yeah.
Just people getting mowed down.
Yeah. He falls back into the trench and plays dead.
Yeah, and a body falls on top of him, so he's able to survive the charge.
Yeah, and the guys are walking through, finishing off the people, like an hour later, just shooting him, and he's like, again, so something seems strange. But he gets lucky, he gets passed over, as dead, and he's able to eventually sneak out of there. And he walks to the other trench, realizes there's a bunch of dead people over there too. That kind of, I forget if they say explicitly or not, but I think it's the women that they had.
The female soldiers?
The female soldiers.
Yeah, but he notices, like, we all look alike. What's going on here?
Yeah, we all look alike, but like he's talking about the people on the other side that were screaming sounded different. They sounded much more effeminate, much higher pitched voices. But yeah, basically it's So, but he walks through that, walks to the other side, finds a giant fence and a gate. Walks up and said, "Hey, where am I supposed to go?" And the guy at the gate is like freaking out, like, "Where did you come from?"
No one's ever made it this far. Yeah. And then, they let him out the gate, and it turns out he's back in the same military base that he started in.
No, he's at a different one.
He's at a different military base.
But basically it's the other base. But again, they said that they're pitching, men and women against each other. So they're like, why is this random guy walking out? And he's just like, I got to play this off. Kind of like when his prison breakout, where it's like, I got to pretend to know what I'm talking about. And if I just act confident enough, no one's going to question me because people don't ask questions. So he's like, hey, as long as I don't ask questions, and if they ask me a question, I yell at them for asking a damn question, I can skate out of this.
Yeah, and in the process, he finds out this is some sort of population decreasing project.
Yeah, and they're just in Ireland.
Yeah, they're in Ireland, and they're basically just taking soldiers, pitting them against each other so that they kill each other.
Yeah, basically, they have a couple of machine gun nests to make sure that everyone is dead that charges, and then they send basically what amounted to what the police were, the gray boys, the ones that had gotten out early. They're the ones that are running the operation, killing anyone that doesn't get killed. But Tristram is able to escape, and he gets out of his uniform eventually and travels across Ireland, gets back into England through hook or through crook.
Yep, and in the meantime, Beatrice Joanna has she's kind of disillusioned by Derek at this point, and she's hoping to see Tristram again.
Yeah, doesn't he end up writing her a letter?
She writes him a big long letter saying like, "Hey, I believe the kids are yours. I regret things we did, and I hope you come back to me." And I think he writes a letter to her as well, saying similar things.
Well, we find out that they had been writing letters, but neither of them were getting them because that's what it was. Before when he was in before the charge, he ends up getting a letter that slipped through because they had been both writing each other letters, but Derek was stopping him because he was monitoring the mail for them.
Yeah, and one of the sources of humor is he'd always be like, "My darling Beatrice Joanna," and he'd be like, "You bastard brother of mine, lousy cucking asshole, give this to my wife, please."
Yeah, because Tristram was smart enough to know that his brother is in control and not letting anything through. So he's like, "Yeah, might as well just write it in there because I know he's gonna read it."
But yeah, it kind of ends talking about like his history professor watching the cycles of history, and we kind of he experiences that, and it kind of resettles back at the start of where the novel began.
Yeah, well, he basically goes to the third phase where it's still conservative, but the violence is winding down, and they're going into the stage of we have rules and people follow these rules, but you can already see the breaking of the rules. Not the violation of the rules not being punished as badly. It's like, hey, we're gonna follow this cycle. It's gonna go back into the liberalism side of it eventually, so we can just kind of slide in. He ends up getting a teaching post. There's a new subject to be taught, which is war, because they hadn't had war for so long that they hadn't needed it. But now he's like, hey, I know all about wars and population and major destruction. I can teach that subject, no problem. And he just slides right back into a school, becomes a teacher, and kind of we don't see him meeting up with Beatrice Joanna, but we...
Yeah, like the final image is like her waiting at the edge of like a pier or something, and him approaching her.
Yeah, and he, that letter he had gotten that had slipped through, he knows where to look for her.
Yeah, and that's The Wanting Seed. So it's definitely a dark comedy kind of deal. You got that feel for it. Very British, dry sense of humor. Anthony Burgess is known for that. Because like Clockwork Orange is a comedy, but also like horrible things happen in it. This is no different in that aspect.
Do you think this could be a movie?
I think it definitely could be. I think it probably has been a movie. It's at least similar storylines have been told. But I think it'd be an interesting movie for sure.
I think it'd be good. I think. Yeah, if you had it directly based off this instead of just a generic, another dystopian, like, what's the one that you were talking about last time with your favorite director there? When we were talking about Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Oh, Terry Gilliam?
Yeah, Terry Gilliam. Didn't he do one?
Did he do a war movie?
No, dystopian.
Oh, yeah, Brazil.
Yeah, Brazil, yeah. That could kind of fall under this category a little bit.
Yeah, because that deals with things like overpopulation, and that's more of like a thing about corporate bureaucracy and individualism. But you get a lot of that in here too, because like he's definitely Tristram's definitely a corporate stooge, and doesn't really have much personality. Just goes with whatever society tells him to do. And throughout the book, he goes under experience. He goes under massive growth, and he becomes a completely different person. Like he loses his mind, and it's almost like a rebirth where he comes into his own, and he is disillusioned with society.
But even in the end, he still ends up right back where he was, essentially.
Yeah,
And it's kind of like 1984 and We and all those. They start to break out, and then they're sucked right back into where they were before.
yeah. I mean, like like Winston Smith in 1984. Yeah, he's like tortured back into that role of his, whereas like Tristram essentially chooses it at the end.
Yeah.
And he thinks like he's all gung ho. It's like, I'm gonna expose the truth. I'm gonna let everyone know what happens, and that doesn't really happen.
He confronts a colonel or a low level general, and the guy's like, "What are you really gonna do?" It's like, well, we're willing to pay you off and discharge you and not throw you back in jail, but what are you? Who you gonna go out there and tell us who's gonna believe you? And Tristram is like, you know what, you're right. I was coming in there half cocked. I'll take what I can get out of you. I'm gonna start playing the system. Kind of pulling more of what his brother does, but not to that same extent.
Yeah, he starts playing the game rather than trying to like follow the rules. He's trying to kind of almost create his own rules, like Derek did.
Yeah, or like that commander was, where it's just like, yeah, you take what you can get, and just kind of highlighting the corruption of the whole system to begin with. So yeah, final thoughts, Alex?
Very good book. It was fun rereading it. I hadn't read it since college. I got lost with like his writing style a little bit more this time than I did last time. He's the only person I've read who would describe the act of urinating as micturating. Guy loves his big ass words. It gets annoying sometimes. Like I had to look at what micturate meant because he uses it twice in this book. And like I've never heard anyone use that once in that book. But yeah, he likes using big words and dropping big ass concepts into his stories that are on their face really silly. So that's a big Anthony Burgess writing style. Sometimes it hits, sometimes it doesn't. And this book is very hit or miss in some areas. Like you said, it drags in spots. Other spots is very good. Like when he's in prison or when he's in the military, it's very good. When it's like Beatrice Joanna's hiding out and he's traveling middle section of the book, that does drag, and that it took me a while to read this book, and that was a lot of it was getting through that period of it.
Yeah, I like this book more the second time around. It definitely feels like it needed some more drafts, some more rewrites to it to really tighten everything together. There's a lot of just like loose ends that flap in the breeze, or stuff that it's introduced, but you're just like, wait, what was that? Where's that coming from? You have no point of reference. And just you're getting hit with so much of that it's like this could have been fleshed out to another easily 50 pages and still been interesting. And like a lot of the concepts that he's thrown in there and just kind of then tossing out, like that seemed like an interesting place to go, but then I got bored, so I went over to this direction. And say it's bizarre, it's fun, but it needed more work. He needed to go back and rework it a little bit more.
Yeah, kind of like how White Plague should have been shorter. This book should have been longer.
Yeah, and it dragged, but I think some rewriting it, those scenes could have been a lot more compelling.
Yeah, like Tristram, he's not a very likable guy, even when he does have his realizations. It's he's not the best protagonist you'll ever meet in your life, and I think it definitely could have been fleshed out a little bit more, but it doesn't take away from it. Like, this is obviously written by a very talented person who wrote it very quickly. We kind of said that about Clockwork Orange too. Like, it was written very well for how it was written. Like, this is obviously like a second or third draft of a book, but written by a very talented writer.
This is kind of like how Stephen King nowadays says, I'll write a rough draft, a second draft, and then the final draft. But because he's written so much and is such a good writer, he's able to do that. And a lot of times you look at Stephen King's old stuff where he had an editor and would write a bunch of drafts, and you're like, hey, this is a lot better quality, but he's on a deadline and he wants to write really long novels oftentimes. And he's like, you know what? This is good enough. This is going to sell books. And it's still a good story, it's still a compelling story. It's just, it's not gonna hit that top tier level that some of the earlier stuff did.
Yeah, and like Stephen King's a career writer. Like he's not sitting down for 8 years plunking out Huckleberry Finn. Like Huckleberry Finn blows out everything that Stephen King's ever written, and it took a long time for Mark Twain to write that book. Whereas this book was probably written, was A Clockwork Orange was written, 3 weeks, he said? So, this one was probably written in a similar time frame.
Yeah.
Where it's not, people can sit down and they can take years writing a book and have it become a classic that way.
You can still write a fantastic novel in 6 months or a year, but when you're just like, we're just going to pound it out as fast as we can, 3 weeks.
Yeah, if you're writing, it's hard to write an enduring classic if you don't sit down and take your time with it. Like Burgess got lucky because Clockwork Orange is an enduring classic, and I think there'll be Stephen King books that are enduring classics. But
and I think Stephen is going to have a few enduring classics,
especially his '70s output. Oh my god.
Yeah.
But just I don't know, like The Wanting Seed. It deserves to be more recognized because I actually do like it better than Clockwork Orange.
Yeah, I liked it a little bit better too. I think when I first read it, I had just read a lot of the other dystopian novels like 1984 and Brave New World and all that stuff, Anthem. So it was, you read those and you read this and it's like, there's definitely a quality drop compared to those. And again, you just, in a 1 year time, I've read 4 or 5 dystopian novels. They're all kind of reading the same, and it's like, okay, this is just more of the same, and not written during the peak of when these things were just massive. This was at the the tail end of that.
Yeah, what I liked about this one, all those books are very serious, even if the concepts are ridiculous. And books that have come out before and after, they usually take dystopians very seriously. This one kind of turns it on its head because it's completely ridiculous and it knows it.
Yeah,
and
so
I
don't think I got that the first time either necessarily. I think I was trying to take it seriously, and it's like, this is. You're going into it thinking, this is a serious book because all the other ones are serious books, and then you read it and it's like, okay, that was just completely unhinged. What's going on?
Yeah, and I don't know, talking about Brazil, that movie, that one's it ends tragically, but it's got a lot of comedic scenes in it, and the bureaucracy's both scary and completely over the top silly, and it's fun
I
like
bumped
that.
it from my 2-star original rating to a 3.5 star.
Okay, yeah, I kept it at 5. I originally gave it 5. I kept it there, but it was a lower 5 than originally.
Okay, so I got some questions for you, Alex.
Alrighty.
So let's see if we can stump you on any of them. What is Burgess saying about overpopulation and state control?
Well, the overpopulation is definitely being used as a scare tactic. State is using it as an attempt to establish control over its people and force people's behaviors and hands in how you're doing things, and encourage utilizing it for their own gains. So there's a lot of manipulation and control, which is very common in this style of book.
I think it's easy to look at Maoist China, and who knows, maybe he read this book around when it came out and said, hey, I got an idea how to control our population. But yeah, it definitely has that feeling of inevitability and futilism. It's like where you can't help it. People are going to be people because, like they said in the book, people in the country, the farmers, are still having lots of kids, and we can't control them. It's the people in the cities that we can control. But because we can have eyes on you at all times, we're going to enforce it as hard as we can, and find ways to hurt you if you don't listen. How does the novel deal with sexuality and repression?
It's very, I guess, almost like Victorian era style oppression, where sex is very frowned upon.
Unless if it's homosexual or lesbian.
Yeah. So a bit farcical in that nature because, again, in the 60s.
In England.
Not nowadays. It was very much...
for the moment.
Yeah. It was very much... God damn it. Oh, it's not funny. Anyway, it's very tragic. It was very much illegal to be in a homosexual relationship. And so, Burgess kind of playing fast and loose with that, we get a lot about sexual repression because the straight couples can't really procreate, and their sex is very closely monitored and controlled. So I think it's getting back into that control aspect of things. like the society is repressing sexuality, and that's all. You look back at history, that's always been a huge issue.
I kind of like, I forget which character it happened with, but they're talking about, they're getting docked because, oh, you're having a straight relationship, and we demand a gay relationship. But when it does the flip, man, you're just ahead of your time, aren't you? You're doing all this great stuff, trying to have a family with a lot of kids, and it's like, man, trying to switch from gay to straight, it's just a really difficult thing to do here. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah. There's a lot of ridiculous scenarios in this.
How effective is this book as a satire in today's society?
Well, I mean, we keep making jokes about like how modern it seems with a lot of this day and age social issues.
Do you think if we had done this 10 years ago, if this podcast was 10 years older, that we would be saying the same effectiveness, or would we say it feels dated?
I mean, was it 10 years ago, 2014? It's probably when I read the book.
2015.
Yeah, 2015. I mean, I read the book in, 2013 or so. Actually more like 2010. But it feels, a lot more poignant now actually reading it at this point. But, I mean, there's still, even in 2015, there were still major social issues and problems in the world. There's been a war on for 24 years now. We're recording this a couple days after 9/11.
That war's over, Alex.
Yeah, I know, but
officially.
Officially, yeah, that's right.
I mean, yes, we claimed it was over a few times, but then no, we've pulled everyone out a few years ago. It was
it was during Biden's administration.
Biden's administration.
But yeah, I forgot about that. It's just, yeah. But yeah, I mean, there was a 20+ year war on for. At that point, there had been for 12 years, 13 years, 15 years,
14,
2000, yeah, 14 years. Okay, I'm rambling, but anyway, but it's so you.
But the future felt a lot brighter then. Like,
yeah, it did feel a lot brighter. I mean, a lot of bad shit had happened. The population has always been an issue.
But again, like I said, the population thing, like the overpopulation, hasn't been an issue for before then, because we started realizing, hey, developed economies. Those countries start producing less kids, and they were starting to come out with projections of, hey, this is where we're going to peak, and this is where we're going to be by 2050, and it's actually going to be lower than the peak if we get all these other countries on board with developing them.
Yeah, I think with the increase of birth control and just sexual awareness in general,
and just good economies, because kids are expensive, and if you have the option of not having kids, and you start living a better lifestyle, you're like, hey, yeah, I don't need 8 kids. I can have 1 or 2 and be fulfilled.
But yeah, I mean, still coming out of 2015, it was things had been improving at that point. Like, we had the housing crisis, and the Iraq War just kind of settled into the background at that point, and it just, it felt a lot better, definitely, than it is nowadays. But yeah, I think there's always going to be time for dystopians to point out how shitty the present is, with hopes that it'll improve. I don't think anyone could have predicted 10 years ago to now how weird it would have gotten, but I think it's always kind of been there.
What do you think of Tristram Fox as a protagonist?
Well, like I said, he's not the greatest protagonist. Like I said, he grows tremendously.
And it's definitely earned growth. I mean, it's not like it's just cheaply bought.
Yeah, he definitely suffers. He definitely goes through a lot, and
but he's able to take the lessons from that suffering too, though.
And he goes from just flat out blaming his wife for everything to realizing, hey, no, this is a product of something that is really bad, and I'm a part of that product, so I need to kind of figure out who I am as a person. And he does that. He actually, it's almost like a coming of age for a guy in his 30s. He has an identity by the end of the book that is completely different from the beginning of the book, which is, and Beatrice Joanna does too. She's very much rebellious, whereas at the end she wants that kind of settled down family life with someone that she cares about.
What do you think of Burgess's use of language in comparison to A Clockwork Orange?
Like I said, he likes his $50 words. This one's definitely a lot easier to follow because all the words exist in human life.
Most of them. There were a handful in there that he created.
It does kind of take you out of it sometimes, though. That's a big flaw of the book, because like it doesn't matter who the character is; they're all using big ass words. I mentioned Mictory a few times.
Highfluvian words,
Yeah,
and they're like
effluvian.
and they're a bunch of working class people that shouldn't know those words.
Exactly.
You've never read a book in your life, and you flunked out of school. How are you using this this 8-syllable long word here? Who taught you that, and how did you use it so correctly?
I'm going to open up to a random page and just read a sentence so you get the idea. The blessed Ambrose Bailey relaxed his hold and crawled dispirited back to his bunk. 5 Our Fathers and 5 Hail Marys, he said perfunctorily. So there you go. There's what you got to kind of wade through to get to the stuff.
Do you agree with the cyclical history that the book was really pushing?
I do. I think if you look at history, you'll see that a lot happening. Just kind of cycles, and so that whole those who don't study history are doomed to repeat it. I think people are just doomed to repeat history in general.
I always have problems with that. Like the big one now that a lot of historians talk about is that it's not repeating it, but it rhymes. So
that's a good way of saying it.
Because it's similar but different enough that you can't say, hey, if like saying the difference between going into World War I versus World War II versus the fear going into like a fascist society now. The things that are leading to it are so vastly different that you can't say, hey, if we just do what they did in post World War II, we can fix everything. The solution isn't the same. And so yeah, it's just, so like I say, I don't quite agree with it. I don't think that it's as neat. And obviously they sped the cycle up for the book to be in a 2-year period, because that's a very fast to hit all 3 periods. It's usually maybe the switch over from the one phase to the inner phase is very fast. It can happen at the flick of a switch, as we're discovering now, where it went from things are they're tough but mostly hunky-dory to holy shit, what's happening, and we're 9 months into it, and we're like, completely new world.
Yeah. I think I guess you could have predicted like COVID stuff too, just like how that was like 2 solid years, like that's what that was.
Yeah.
And then like the amount of stuff that happened within that time that just caused huge paradigm shifts. Like a lot can happen in 2 years, but I think overall, usually the whole like changing your whole way of thinking, that's a generations long experience most of the time. I mean, it feels like things are speeding up nowadays.
So what do you think of the gender roles in this book? I mean, it felt like at times it was very 1950s, 60s, men do this thing, women do this thing, but then at the same time he'd break it, where like I said, he's sending women off into the military and having them doing, everything that the boys are doing and all that stuff. What did you think of that?
Yeah, I think that's part of the farce of the thing. Anthony Burgess' sense of humor, like a female soldier, could you believe it? He is, I think he was, I don't want to speak ill of him, but I believe he was notoriously sexist in his life. So I think kind of like Beatrice Joanna's like big revelations, like, oh, I want to be a housewife, and it's like she wants to be rebellious in the start, and by the end she just wants her family.
It says she was rebellious, but at the same time, I think the whole thing of having the family she had always wanted, because she was so distraught about the loss of her son. So it says she wanted but so it's that whole thing of I want children had always kind of been there. Which again, you never get an explanation of really the reasoning of or the background of it. Is like, I came from a big family, or I came from a small family, and I just adore children. It was just I had to have a child, and my child died, and I need more children now. It's kind of like replacing a dog. My child died, so I need to have more. Let's go. My dog died, so to feel better, I bought another dog, and then that dog needed a friend, so I bought a third dog. And so we kind of asked my last question, but I got another one here for you. Do you know how many books Anthony Burgess wrote?
Like 50?
50?
In that neighborhood.
Okay. How many have you read?
More than 10, less than 20. I forget how many exactly. I've read a lot.
What's your favorite one?
The stuff he wrote from like 58 through 63, I think, was his like best era of work. It's like Doctor Sick, Clockwork Orange, Wanting Seed, Honey for the Bears. I think this might. I don't want to say Clockwork Orange, but it's really good. But The Wanting Seed's definitely up there as far as his best works go.
Okay.
I also really liked. This is a book he did spend a long time writing. It's called Earthly Powers. It came out in like '83. He spent like 10 years writing it. It's really long, really hard to get through, but it's a great study of like religion and all the topics that we're kind of covering. This like gender roles, religion, homosexuality, sexuality in general. I think that's like his magnum opus. I wish that was his biggest book because that was a really powerful book to read.
Do you think that he just isn't given enough attention anymore? Because I mean, everyone knows Clockwork Orange, but I think it's mostly more because of the movie than anything.
Yeah, definitely. He's definitely. I think his light is fading as far as being like, required reading. And it's unfortunate. You lose out on a lot of good books.
Yeah, well, we've discussed about especially last season, some of the books that we kind of discovered or rediscovered that are like, hey, why isn't this a better known book? Because this is a really good book, and a few that were like, hey, yeah, we're kind of glad these books are fading out because early beginning of this season, the what's the one that you picked there that we're like, yeah, this is a little tough.
Oh yeah, American Dream.
The American Dream. And yeah, I feel that I don't know a lot about a lot of Anthony Burgess's other books other than these two, and I feel like, as we keep saying, he's a very talented writer. I feel like he should be one of those top tier people that from the, especially as I said, being from the 60s, that era, we're getting that stage now. We're in schools. That's classical American lit time. Because I mean, when we're reading classical American lit 20 years ago, we're doing stuff up into the 40s.
Yeah, we're reading like Their Eyes Were Watching God and stuff like that.
Yeah, and so I said, it feels like that this is somebody that could probably or should probably be read just because of his use of language, if nothing else.
Yeah, he's very creative. He's an excellent satirist. Like he's definitely, I think, one of the most important voices in British literature from that era, or from any era.
Yeah, and as I said, we read a lot of, especially and here in America, a lot of the great American authors, and from the early 20th century, and then we just kind of stop and say, maybe it's because those teachers, that's when our teachers went to school, that these guys were just writing this stuff, that they're like, yeah, that's just modern junk. We can skip that. And I feel like that happens a lot, where a generation that grew up with it doesn't quite feel the same connection as something that they read as when they were a kid. At least in more modern society, maybe, because I said you get all these great American authors and British authors really from the 20s, or writing in the 20s and the 30s, but we haven't continued those names.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Working in education, I do see it more like modern books are starting to work their way into curriculum. Like, I don't know, like The Hate U Give. It's a bit older now, but that was getting taught in
How old
high
is
school. I don't know. I'm not gonna look it up right now, but it's a more recent one. And yeah, I think with the advent of like the internet and better, I guess, outreach of books, more, I guess, accessible material for students are falling to people's hands. And I don't want to talk about like the controversy around Huckleberry Finn like being a required reading. I think, but I think a lot of schools are offering alternatives to discuss matters of race and race relations other than that book. And people think. I do think people should read that book, but their arguments against it are also very correct in that there's a lot of books these days that cover that subject in a way that's much more relevant to the modern child. So it's it's hard to say.
So like you say, you don't get too into it. I think the argument you could use is saying, as a historical reference, getting a better idea why people were doing what they were doing at that time. So I just recently read a book on General Robert E. Lee, and basically going on his beliefs, because it's like, why is this guy still considered one of the greatest Americans, even though he was literally a traitor, and he owned slaves, but he was not so much anti-slavery but ambivalent about slavery, and said that it should go away, but wasn't creative enough to actually say how to do that, other than the way that the North wanted to do it was wrong. But it was to be able to go from how we view society today versus 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 250 years ago at the start of our country. It's such a vast gap where a lot of people struggle with that difference in the way people thought. And so you see a lot of villainization of those people, and even people that did great things, like, oh, they were really a villain because they did horrible things to slaves. It's like, yes, and this is the society they lived in. And I've heard a lot of people say, put any person that's born now into a different society or a different time period, you're doing the same thing as that time period or that society. You're not breaking out, because right now you're able to moralize, what's going on,
Oh, yeah.
That's why we shouldn't ban books.
Exactly. Got to be able to read anything. It's just what it is.
Yeah. So that is The Wanting Seed.
Yep. Very good book.
Yep.
Should be kind of a lost classic at this point, I would say.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think it's overshadowed by the bigger names now, and it's just, like 1984, and it shouldn't be.
Exactly. It should be not quite up on that level, but like if you made a tier list, it would be.
Yes,
the next
1984 is S tier. This is still A tier.
Well, a lot of people hate Orwell. It's
a lot of people hate Orwell, but they also at the same time say, yeah, that is the
dystopian book.
Yeah, it's like the people that hate Stephen King. It's like, but that is the horror genre.
Yeah. He is his own genre at this point.
Him and his son, anyways.
Yeah, Joe Hill's so good.
So yeah, Alex, you have any last comments?
Just highly recommend Anthony Burgess as an author.
Okay.
Check him out.
What's our next read?
You sound very excited to hear it.
I do. Well, we did tease it at the beginning.
We did. All right. Yeah, it's time to deliver. My next book is actually my favorite book of all time. It is... What do you mean? As far as...
I just want you to know, this is also Stephen Fry's favorite book of all time.
Well, Stephen Fry got the pleasure of playing this author in a movie.
Well, because it's his favorite book of all time, and it's the book that made him fall in love with reading in the English language and realize that maybe his differences are normal and being gay is okay.
Yeah, this is probably one of the most famous gay authors of all time. The author is Oscar Wilde, and the book is the only novel he ever wrote. It is The Picture of Dorian Gray.
Yes.
And it's, I don't know, if you think Anthony Burgess is a witty, humorous satirist, Oscar Wilde is like S tier, God level
he's
satirist.
S++ tier.
Yeah, he is. I don't know. He's like him and like Jonathan Swift as far as like satire writers go. Like they invented that genre.
Yeah, they are that genre. Like Stephen King is horror. These guys are satire.
Yeah, and there's been satire before, but like no one like strictly satire. Like this is.
Yeah, I mean, William Shakespeare did satire, but
yeah,
I mean,
satire's been around forever and ever. It's, I'm gonna say when I think satire, I think Oscar Wilde, because he just sounds like he takes nothing seriously, but in doing so, he's able to just really shine light. He had this. He's got a lot of famous quotes, but like one of them was, "It's like if you must tell people the truth, make them laugh, otherwise they will kill you." And so he does that in almost all his works, and it's very true in this book as well. It goes into some really dark places, but it maintains this air of humor about it that's very creative, and I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, so this is your last pick of the season, so
yeah, we're wrapping the season up.
So everyone, make sure you are getting on this book train, because if you don't read Alex's favorite book of all time, you're just a horrible human being.
Yeah. This book is, 130 years old at this point? Nothing's ever been better.
And it's relatively short. I mean, it is a difficult read because it is 130 years old and they used different sorts of language back then. So it's going to be a little bit of a slog if you're used to reading your rom-coms. But it is worth the read. I mean, I've read it once, and my whole sighing thing is it is a slog to get through because it is just it's using different language and making you have to think.
Yes, you do have to turn your brain on for this one. It's not just like your Lisa Jewell beach read.
Yeah, you can't just fly through this in an afternoon. You can, but you're not gonna get any of it. You're not gonna pull anything out of it, and you're gonna be like, "What the hell?" But yeah, so yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Yes, I'm very much looking forward to talking about it.
Yeah. So that's Kendall Bookworms.
Yeah.
We have some social medias.
Ooh, tell us about it, Joe.
We have a Facebook that we don't really pay attention to, but we do have an Instagram that we do pay attention to. So add us on that, Kendall Bookworms. If you want to get a hold of us, you can through the Instagram or through the email, kendallbookworms@gmail.com. We read all the emails we do get. If you want to drop a comment, do so on Spotify. There's occasionally a poll on there, so definitely check that out. I think I pissed off Spotify with my last poll for asking if people were crying, Alex. It will not come up on my thing, so I can vote for it.
Oh man.
A monster calls, so
check that out.
Yeah, see if Alex can do it. For me, it just says there's an error, something went wrong, retry later, and it hasn't come up. Anyways, so I said keep your eyes open to that. Give us some comments, give us some love. We do enjoy all the interactions people give us, whether it's emails or just someone reaching out to us in person. We enjoy talking books and enjoy that people are liking this show.
Yeah, we love having you guys around. Yeah, I can't get the poll up either.
Yeah, so I think I got mad because I asked if the book made people cry. Maybe people should comment on that. Did A Monster Calls make you cry? Yes, no, or I'm not crying, you are. And
press F to cry.
So yeah, let's see what else we got. I'm on Medium. Big announcement. So Medium, Substack, Goodreads. So far, Medium seems to be the most popular. I write book reviews for books that we don't cover on the podcast. But if we do get a book review that I write that gets more than 100 reads, next season we're going to have Alex read that book and we're going to discuss it. So
don't read Joe's stuff. Not kidding.
Read
Joe's
it.
Stuff. It's very good. It's a good read. It's he's read a lot of books. He knows what he's saying.
Yeah, he said the book that's halfway there now that I wrote a review, Between Two Fires. Definitely check out that review because I think it's definitely a book Alex is going to love if he has to read it. It is a good book. So definitely check out that Medium. So if you don't like Medium, even though everything I do on there is free, I do post on Substack and Goodreads for all my reviews. Me and Alex both have a Goodreads. If you want to follow us there, see what we're reading, try to guess which book we're currently reading. That is part of the podcast since we're usually try to read a couple months ahead of what we're actually going to talk when we're going to post the video or post the thing. We are on YouTube if you want to listen to us there. Let's see what else we got, Alex.
I think that's it.
Alex has some books that he sells on Amazon.
Those. Yes, currently we're at The Destroyer and Paul Plimpton vs. Ragnarok.
Yeah, those will be in a link in the description. We got everything, Alex? Did I miss anything?
I think we hammered it all out. If we listen to some of our older episodes, see if we missed anything today.
Yeah, let us know.
Sound off in the comments about whether you cried and if we missed any of our socials.
Yeah. So read A Monster Calls because that is a book.
It really is, yes. Well done, Joe.
Me smart.
Check out his Medium. This guy knows what a book is.
I've read one or two this month even.
Yeah, it was a lot of coloring.
Yeah, my wrist is sore from all that crayons on paper.
Yeah, that's what it's sore from. All right, well, with that, thank you all for tuning in. That was The Wanting Seed. Tune in next time for the picture of Dorian Gray. Until then, I'm Alex.
And I'm Joe.
And this has been Bookworms.
Out.